Nawn da, gyfeillion, Cynarfon. Croeso I un o uchafbwyntiau wyl sydd yn o'i hunan yn wyl y hollol ryfeddol. Dwi'n credu yn Cynarfon wedi weld ddim quite tebyg i'r sgwigod yma braf. Welcome to one of the high points of a weekend that in itself is quite remarkable. I don't think Cynarfon is seen anything quite like this since the Romans were there. I think they had soap. They were very clean people. This whole theatre, mae'r theatr yma o ffridwyliau sebon erbyn, hwyl a dysgu am wyddoniaeth a pob dim yn digon o ryfeddol. A dyna fe dyn ni'n cael y brofus yma. This whole concept of converting this sort of mathematical, almost geometrical wonder into a whole theatre form is quite remarkable, and it's great for us here in Cynarfon to be experiencing that. Mae'r genre yma o theatr rhyw 20 blwydd oed, cychwyn yn un o dyleithiau dipyn bach yn Ewrop, a falle bod hynny wedi weld street theatre o wahanol fath o'r fath yma. This kind of genre dates back some 30, 40, maybe 50 years, and many of you might have seen sort of street theatre all over the world. Ond un o'r, wel, dim un, person, mae'n debyg, nath troi y holl genre yn theatr anhygoel. Rhyw 40-50 mlynedd yn ôl, fe oedd e'r rhaglenni Paul Daniels, fe oedd e'r rhaglenni Johnny Carson, yn yw, dyna ydy'r bobl gorau yn un o ddyleithiau da ni'n mynd I cael I bresenoldeb nawr. Now, this genre started as to be a global event, and the global theatre began some 40 years ago with the gentleman we're about to see now. I'm old enough to remember Paul Daniels and Johnny Carson. Here we have one of the stars of their performances. So with no more listening to me, dim rhagor and me, please welcome Tom Noddy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. Maybe you can help. I don't want to translate the whole show, but maybe just the introduction. Okay, in Welsh, yes? Okay, so I'll say it in English. You say, so I'm going to tell them what I do with the bubbles. I put bubbles inside of bubbles, smoke bubbles, clear bubbles inside of smoke bubbles, inside of clear bubbles, inside out bubbles, yin-yang bubbles, caterpillar bubbles, love bubble, bubble cube. And the yin-yang bubble is a double bubble, a smoke bubble and a clear bubble. The clear bubble is a smoke bubble, and a smoke bubble and the clear bubble. Yeah, in Welsh, please.
Sweet God!
It's a good language, Welsh, huh? It's very economical. I like that. That's great. Here, my friend in America who spoke a little Welsh told me to greet you. I think she didn't come from this part of Wales, but she said to say Shimai. Yes. So, but I want to show you first the caterpillar bubble. Yeah, Lindis. Yeah, that's a caterpillar. Some people think it's a worm. I don't understand those people. I think they don't see the antenna. You see his eyes, right? You see his eyes? Yeah, these guys can dance. You all see break dance? That's why they call it break dance right there. So the caterpillar, it's a good one for the first one because everybody can see it. Even the people in the cheap seats over there. But some bubbles that I do are difficult to see when you're far away. And so for that reason, we have video projection. Sometimes I'll put a bubble here so you can see. When I'm not, it's okay. I want you to look here. But once in a while, we'll do that. Okay. Now, also to help you see better, I brought this. Because soap bubbles are thinner than wavelengths of light. They're almost not here on the physical plane with us. So they're very difficult to see, but I have this. This will help you to see. Yeah, that's a nuclear bubble. Don't worry, there's no There's no danger with nuclear. We can put one over here, we can put one over there. Just play with this stuff. Whee, boing, boing, whoops. It's okay, it was human error. Oh well. No, don't worry. If we have accidents with nuclear, we have backup systems. Back up, everybody, back up! That's all they figured out so far. Here, I'll show you bubbles inside of bubbles. Zwiegad meun zwiegen. Can you see those inside? No, you can't see. There they are right there. This will be easier to see. I'll show you smoke bubbles inside of a clear bubble. I should mention, what you're seeing here today is the result of 45 years of playing with bubbles almost every day. Scary, isn't it? That's right. Y'all been doing other things all this time? I've been busy. Imagine my father. There's a happy man. First the hair, then the bubbles. He's thrilled. That's a souvenir. You can take that home if you want. Slow motion bullets. Special effects just for you. Here, I'll show you the volcano. The volcano. Niftan. Niftan. Volcano. Okay. Starts with an earthquake. Then the eruption. Whoa, get me out of here. Hey, whoa. You know, I play a lot of places where magicians play. I like magicians, but I like to tease them a little bit. I'll give you my impression of a magic performer, magician. Ta-da! Wait, some of you don't believe there is a bubble in my pocket. You don't believe there's a bubble in my pocket, do you? Okay, I understand. You come to the theater, you're skeptical. You want proof. No problem, I'll prove it. I'll take it out of my pocket, I'll show you. See? I don't know why they don't just trust me. Is it Welsh? Is it the Welsh? Is that the problem? Oh. Yeah, it's a joke. But I must do this joke now. Yeah, light bulb. But I have to do the joke now because the kids that come after you, they won't know what this is. It's almost over, this thing. They're not going to have these. So you carry it around in your pocket, you wait and you do the joke. You know, okay, here. I'll show you the love bubble. Zwiegen Kariat. 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 Zwiegen Kariat. Okay, love. Okay. Now we're looking for real love. Real love is when two become one. love is difficult. Well, to get love, you must overcome surface tension. Scientists told me that. Real love is oneness. Oh, come on, that happens with love. That happens to everybody. Give me that. If you want real love, you have to keep trying, y'all. Keep trying. I said do. It's not television, huh? They can hear you, they talk back. Okay. Real love is oneness. It's a hippie thing. Oh, look at that baby. Yeah. Americans and their guns, you know, there's nothing you can do with that. I'm sorry. There's nothing you can do. I should tell you what we'll do with this show. Yeah, so some of you know there's another show in the evening. There are going to be 8 different performers. It's really going to be this thing that's happening right now. I hear, and it's never happened before anywhere. We've got these bubble performers came from all over the world. In tonight's show, there are going to be people from 7 or 8 different countries, from 4 different continents, who've never, most of them, ever seen each other before. We gathered this show on the internet, and we made plans, and there's going to be some chaos, hopefully, in the mix. I don't think I have to fear on that point. There will be some chaos, but there's also going to be really astounding things that people do, and it's all going to come together for the first time on the planet here in this evening's show. But here it's just me carrying on with you guys. So let's see. This is the galaxy. Galaxy. Try the special on this one. It's okay. It only tastes bad the first 2 years. You keep going, you know, for the art. This one I showed in America. In the middle of America, there are places, Arkansas, Oklahoma, where we get a lot of tornadoes. This is the tornado bubble. Oh, I say the land of Oz bubble. Remember the tornado in the Wizard of Oz picked up Dorothy's house? Watch for the tornado inside the bubble. If I only had a brain. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. So I'm going to show you some more tricks and maybe little jokes once more. And then we're going to turn the house lights up and I'm going to take questions. If you want to know anything about how I do this or, why I do this. I don't know. We'll take questions and just, you can ask anything. I know a lot about the science of bubbles, the physics of bubbles, and but don't worry, I'm funnier than I am smart. Okay, there'll be jokes in it and stuff. But we could talk, or the how-to of it, or whatever you like, really. Where'd you get those shoes? Anything. We'll just talk, we'll hang out for a bit. But let me show you this one. I showed a friend of mine, he was studying physics at a university in California. And I told him I could do a bubble cube. And he thought about the cube. The soap bubbles, he said, no. He said that would be, minimal surfaces, physics, mathematics. He said, no, that would be impossible. Well, he was studying physics, but he had an incomplete understanding of that science, which many of us have. The physics major told me a bubble cube would be impossible. Zwiegen cube. It's nice, beautiful language. How am I doing, Aramis? Am I keeping my elbow out of the way of this? Am I blocking that video with my elbow? Nothing's impossible. Maybe I'm not hitting it. There it is. They do like spheres, don't they? So, the cube. If you think about it, what my friend, the physics major, was telling me, he said bubbles are always minimal shapes. And the most economic shape in nature is a sphere, the ball shape. That's why all the planets are spheres. All the stars are spheres. It's the most economic shape in nature. It uses the smallest surface area to contain a given volume. And so he said, therefore, bubbles are always round. But if you think about it, most of the bubbles you've ever seen were not round. Because most of the bubbles you've ever seen were in suds. And they're in the middle of the suds, they touch each other, and it's all angles. They're not, it's all round, they're not round. So that bubble had 6 bubbles around it that are pressing on it equally from 6 different directions. If I could press on you hard enough, equally, from 6 different directions, you would also be a cube. That's the minimal shape possible in that environment. So, if I only had 4 bubbles, if I press equally from 4 directions, I get a kind of a pyramid. Not like the Egyptian pyramids with a square floor. This one is all triangles. It's called a tetrahedron, but it's a kind of pyramid. Four triangles, a tetrahedron. So if I put another bubble outside, it's a triangular prism. 2 triangles, 3 rectangles. Another one, bubble cube. One more. This is a pentagonal prism or a bubble house. Yeah. By the way, people who live in bubble houses shouldn't. My idea. So, let me show you one more of these shapes. This one has 12 sides, and all of the sides are pentagons. You know pentagons? You know? Some people think 1 pentagon is too many. But I'll show you 12 pentagons. It's called a dodecahedron. I call it the bubble jewel. Bubble jewel. Well said. I agree with that guy. All pentagons. Don't get heat. I love that. Every bubble I've ever blown has popped. 45 years I'm doing this, almost every day. They're all gone. I love that about them. You know, otherwise my house would be a mess. You know? Makes them precious though, doesn't it? I mean, you've never seen an old dusty bubble kicking around the toy box, you know? Okay, this one, well, in English, we say it's a carousel. In Welsh, it's carousel. Beautiful language, Welsh. Actually, I go to Germany a lot, you know, and in German, I mean, it's their country. I want to use some German words. They understand English, but in German, I mean, soap bubble in German is Seifenblase, you know? And a bubble inside of a bubble is Seifenblase in der Seifenblase. And a caterpillar is, I know, but they have an R, but they don't R, you know, they say, or even a R, like you got, they swallow it. I'm like, oh man. And then the cube is ein Würfel. They have a and umlaut. The guy told me it's pronounced Ü. And I said, what? Ü? He said, no, Ü. I said, Ü. He said, no, Ü. Then I got to this part of the show, I'm going to do the carousel bubble. And I asked him, okay, how do you say, in German, how do you say carousel? And he said, we say carousel. Right? I got one. Then I went to France. In French, they also have an U. You guys have an U. And then I got to the end and I said, how do you say in French, how do you say carousel? And he said, we say carousel. Right? I got one. Espanol, carousel. Portuguese, carousel. Italiano, a little more difficult, carosello. Hebrew, carosella. Then I went to Japan. I asked him, how do you say in Japanese, how do you say carousel? He said, we say merry-go-roundo. So this is the carousel or the merry-go-round bubble. Da, 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 da. Such happy sounds they make though. That's a kid on the carousel. A friend. Uh-oh. Kids are getting sick. Here we go. So I'm going to show you one more here, and then I want to show you some big bubbles, and then we'll take questions. We'll talk. When I take the questions, it doesn't have to be science. It can be how-to. You can just ask me to do something you saw before, or to try something. But we'll just do whatever it is. This one is the double carousel. Carousel do. No, it's okay, I can do it. Don't. I hope I can. Where's the other straw? Oh, there it is. Okay, so we're going to try some. We're going to try some big bubbles. Zwiegen Mau. Here's the problem with big bubbles. It takes so much time for all the air to go through that little hole. By the time the bubble gets big, it's getting old. So it pops before it gets really big. But so if you really want to make big bubbles, you need different equipment. And I think in town this week, you're going to see a lot of people using some different equipment to make big bubbles. And all of it is designed to make the bubbles very quickly. And if you do it quickly, then you would really get something going here. Let's see, if you try something like this, because then you can quickly go, okay, or you can try something, if you're careful, you can do a bigger one. Wow, like that. And then, or you can try a big one like this. Okay, or if you're careful, you can maybe make a really big one. Or, if you're really careful, maybe you go. This guy thinks it's funny, I like him. Ooh, it was almost the donut bubble. The donut bubble. Scientists call the shape a torus. There's a British science magazine called New Scientist. And somebody wrote to them and asked, is it possible for a bubble to be a torus shape, a donut shape? Two mathematicians answered. The first one said, no, it's not possible. It's not a minimal shape. Bubbles always make minima. A torus is not a minima. It's not possible. The other mathematician wrote to say, I would say the same thing, but I've met Tom Noddy. And here's a photograph of Tom with a torus bubble. It turns out it is possible, but it's not stable. So I can make a torus, I'll show it to you. It's there. As soon as it's there, it's leaving there. It's leaving there before it gets there. It's really, but for a moment, you really just, you gotta have to, okay, watch. It's better if you see it straight on. So I'll show you guys, and I'll show you guys. Torus, a donut shape. T-O-R-U-S, torus. Oh no, that wasn't a Taurus, that was an Aries. You get your fun breathe. Ooh, no, I don't know. That's the one I miss in Germany all the time. It doesn't, a lot doesn't translate that joke, but good, you guys. Yeah, good. Okay. And that is the donut hole. No, it's funny, but it's true. The outside part of the torus, as soon as this forms, it's collapsing down. It wants to be a more minimal shape. It wants to be a sphere. But the inside part of the donut is also collapsing down, sometimes trapping the air that was the donut hole into a smaller bubble that's caught inside the big bubble. So when you see the one inside, that means it was a tori. I'll show you guys. Would you come up here for a second? Will you come here? Yeah. Maybe not? Who are you? Leave off the jacket, we'll try you. Then maybe she'll come. Yeah, how big are your shoulders? That's the real key here. I only brought the ears, so come over here. I brought the ring that'll fit in my suitcase. Here we go. Here, stand right there, like that. Put your arms at your sides like that. Look at them, and okay, no, smile. It's a good smile. Tell everybody to smile. It's a good smile. Keep the smile. That's good. Keep the smile. Oh, that's Okay, get out of here. It's my show. Thank you. That's right. I want to answer questions. I'll show you the tricks again. I'll show you new stuff you haven't seen. I encourage you to stay. If your kids are antsy and you want to go, this would be a good time. We're going to turn up the house lights, and I'm going to stay here and answer your questions until you're exhausted. Yes, sir.
Will you sign my bubble?
I signed your bubble. I did it once. I wrote on a frozen bubble. I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was minus 40 degrees. And when you say minus 40, you don't have to say if it was Celsius or Fahrenheit. That's where the two scales come together. And I froze a bubble, and then I wrote C-O-L. It was just ice frozen. But other than that, maybe not tonight. Wait. Any other questions? Yes? The biggest bubble I've ever blown is not even close to these other people who were in town with me today. Mine, I do have a bigger hoop than this I use sometimes. I don't use the tri-string too much, the one with the strings and the sticks that they do. But these guys, they do remarkable bubbles. There was a guy in New Zealand, Alan McKay, and he had made a bubble that was 35 meters. I'm American, I don't know what meters are, but it's 105 feet long. And the photograph is amazing. It's like a bubble like this, and a man like that. But so mine, when I try to do big ones, I tend to go, and then it's all right. It's pretty good for civilians. But we've got the specialists in town. So, any other questions? Yes.
Would you do the carousel inside the big bubble?
The carousel inside of a bubble. All right. These guys are here. They've seen some stuff. Yeah, this is a separate branch of bubblery called microsurgery.
Can we have the single light?
Not yet. Not yet. I won't see. I can't see if I. No. I can't tell if I have it or not with that light. Thank you, Louis.
Oh, you're welcome. You can do it with your eyes closed.
I had a friend once, my friend Hockey is a clown in Germany, in Berlin, and he set me up for this show one time where he said I could do the galaxy bubble with my eyes closed. So he had, and I thought maybe, you know, and I got out the wands and I was doing, and I was putting bubbles inside, and they were cheering. So apparently he was directing, I did nothing. Nothing was happening. He had them cheering. Yes, they're right. If you feel like you need to go, it's okay. You can slip on out this way or that way. Any other questions? Yes. No, I'll take yours.
What's your favorite bubble?
My favorite bubble? I love the tornado. That tornado. When I did it in Oklahoma, they sent me around every science museum in Oklahoma. And Oklahoma in America is a place where they call it Tornado Alley. They get tornadoes all the time. And I have to say, the people in Oklahoma, they liked my tornado even more than the regular ones. But I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to blow a big bubble. I'm going to hang a smoke bubble from the bottom of it. Then I'm going to spin the air around. That is to say, I'm going to put the straw into the big bubbles and blow. That hits the curved surface, and so it spins. It's invisible. We can't see what the air is doing. But when I break the wall between them, if I touch the wall between them with the end of the straw and suck a little bit, that breaks a wall. So the smoke will come up, and it's fog really, it's not smoke. Will come up into the bottom, and it'll start a rotation, and when I touch the top, that is break the little film that's inside the little hole at the top, then it'll be drawn up, and same physics as happens in real tornadoes. There's lower pressure in the center because of that rotation that happens, and it gets drawn up from the, it's an upside down tornado, the point is at the top. But otherwise, it's really the same dynamics as real tornadoes. The reason I like it so much is because it's a little different every time I do it. Bubble, well said. Well said. Speak again. Okay. Break that opening right there. That gets drawn up from the center where the lower pressure is. I know. That's what sometimes I'm on stage someplace. I travel a lot. And I'm on stage someplace and I'm just doing the show. It's the act I've been doing. It doesn't get tired for me. I've been doing it forever. But in the middle of the show, and then I'll do this one. So, man, the stage light or that one worked through. And I'm just like, whoa, well, man, look at the colors. oh, yeah, back to the show. Hi. I love that one. Thanks for asking. What was your question? Say it again.
How do you make the bubbles?
A multicolored bubble.
Yeah.
Bubbles are multicolored. It's hard to see the colors in this setting. Really, I think when Pitbull does his show tonight, the last show in tonight's show, he's going to have a white carpet. The reflection of that is going to show us the colors. And it's really, the different colors on a bubble, remarkable. Colors that are not in the rainbow. Magenta is not in the rainbow. There's an amber tone that's not in the rainbow. Every color on a bubble is a different thickness of soap film. A scientist can tell you that film is 201 nanometers thick, 211, where they see the magenta. In fact, we have a professor with us here today who actually charted out which colors represent which thickness of the film. Cyril Eisenberg, who wrote the book. And he did a lecture, he's going to do it again on Monday. So they are multicolored. It's wave interference. It's not like rainbows. It's more remarkable than rainbows, what's happening. And it only happens in phenomena that are super, super thin, approaching the thickness of wavelengths of light. In the case of bubbles, they're much thinner than wavelengths of light. Usually, the typical ones, the ones you have at home, not special bubbles. So, but you wouldn't be able to see better the colors than I'm doing. Let me take his question and come back to you. Yes. Which one? The galaxy. Galactica, sometimes I call it. Somebody better keep an eye on my time because I won't stop. I'll just stay as long as they have questions.
Put a white spot in the middle of it. White smoke bubbles.
Yay.
But here's the principle. Here's what's going on. When you're blowing bubbles, you dip the wand into the juice. You might want to write down these terms. That's the wand. That's the juice. Okay. So you dip the wand. I'm the bubble guy. I make up all the rules here. You dip the wand. Not here really, but okay. You dip the wand into the juice, and you get a film. If you blow against a sheet of soap film, you can make a bubble. When you have a bubble, what you really have is a sheet of soap film. And we just said, if you blow against a sheet of soap film, it'll make a bubble. So that is exactly the same as that. It's the same thing. It's a curved surface, and you don't want to blow it away. So the blow is a little bit different, but the principle is the same. You're blowing against a sheet of soap film, it bends in. As soon as the film gets 3 1/7 times its diameter in length, it must form a waist and split off into two. No, really, there's physics. There was a British scientist in the 1890s, C.B. Boyce. His book is still in print. Dover keeps it in print. These guys studied soap bubbles. They're really important. At the highest levels of mathematics and physics, today, people are spending time on supercomputers trying to solve questions around soap bubbles. And soap bubbles are helping them to solve questions that mathematics could not. They always form a minima. Let me try that one on you for a second. If I ask you, I have a flat round ring here, and I ask you, what's the minimal surface possible to fill that space? Professor Heisenberg asked us this as well when he did his lecture. And intuitively, I think we know. It's a flat round disc. That's the minimum. And sure enough, if I dip this in to a soapy water, I take it out, we get a film that is a flat round disc. You can distort it, but once you stop doing that, it'll become a flat round disc again. It's the minimum. They must find a minimum. Now, if I bend this ring into, we don't know what shape, some kind of wavy, we don't know. And then I ask you, what's the minimum now? When should the film bend in? How many degrees? What's the angle? When should it go up? The hills, the valleys? What's the answer? We don't know. We don't have mathematics for proving this, for finding a minimum. But what has been proved is that if you dip that wavy-shaped ring into soapy water, the film that is produced will be the exact minimum. And so it becomes an analog computer, the soap film. It becomes an analog computer for solving some very complex mathematics problems that cannot be solved otherwise. And so they've been used that way by architects. The Munich Olympic Center was designed by somebody who was looking for a minimal structure. Math couldn't help him. So he used soap films. If you ever get to Munich, you visit that beautiful catenary curves, tourists come out, it's gorgeous. He turned to nature and to soap films to answer those questions because math couldn't help, computers couldn't help. Yeah, let me try somebody else. Yes. Oh, Sam. Hey.
I got so many questions for you that we trying to decide which one to ask you. What's the most memorable bubble you've ever made?
What's the most memorable bubble I've ever made? I forget. There was this one time, I was a street performer for many years. There was this one time in San Francisco. I was playing at Powell Market. It's a big tourist intersection. People get the cable cars up the hill at that point. And I would play that crowd because they're kind of stuck. They're waiting in line. And then I'd do my show and pass the hat. And I did smoke bubbles. And nobody had ever seen smoke bubbles in those days. And it went up against these buildings. And somehow it caught the attention of this whole crowd. And it was filled with smoke. So you could see it even though it was far away. And up really high against this building. And then it started sailing right toward the building. It was, oh, you could hear the crowd go, oh. and it came through, and then it rode, instead of crashing, it rode along the edge of the building, and then turned the corner and left. People were, hey, they were cheering for that. It's actually, that's what's happening with wind. We don't often see what wind is doing. That wind is hitting that building if it's coming from this way, and it creates a little buffer right there. And this thing showed us there's a buffer because it's hitting and reflecting off of the building, and you couldn't get through there if you wanted to until you got around the corner. I have a friend who was a hang glider. He used to jump off the mountains, and before he jumped, I was up there with him, and he and his friends, and they picked up some dirt, and they threw it into the air, and oh yeah, it's blowing that way. And they wanted to jump into the wind because it gets some more lift. And then I said, what are you doing? He said, yeah, I want to see the wind. Oh, you want to see the wind? Man, I'm good at this. Yeah, because if you just fill the air with bubbles, it's not dust, it doesn't just float a little. I can just put the wind, and happily the people in this theater turned off all the air conditioning, that's why you're warm. And so the wind here is doing almost nothing. Thank you so much. But in that condition, they were able to see the swirls, they saw thermals, they saw, oh, I'll jump into that. They knew you could see the wind. So other questions? So yes, sir.
What's your most exciting bubble discovery?
My most exciting, well, all of them were exciting when I found them. Let me show you something I discovered 3 months ago. Maybe it's 4 now. I bounced bubbles in this jacket I was wearing. It bounced it well. I tried down the pants. They didn't do so good. Wool is really good at bouncing bubbles. And cotton's okay. I used to have these polyester shirts, these slick things that don't breathe, and they break bubbles. Polyester breaks bubbles. And in more recent years, they made polyester fleece, and it bounces bubbles. And I thought, well, wait a second, it's still poly, it's still ester, but what's the difference? And then, it's the arrangement of the fibers, that's the only difference. So, can you do that with anything? Could you rearrange the fibers of wood, and wood would bounce a soap? Wow! Yes, rayon. Rayon is cellulose from tree fiber, and it bounces bubbles. It's rearranged fibers from wood, and it'll bounce bubbles. So it's not the material, it's the arrangement of the fibers. How far could you go, I wondered? Could you get metal? Steel. Could you bounce bubbles off of steel if you rearrange the fibers? Oops. Terrible punch. Steel wool. No, not the ones embedded with soap. I did it with bronze wool, I did steel wool. It's not intuitive. Bubbles are not what we think they are. I've been doing it for 45 years, they're not what I think they are. They are something else. They exist in another place, right on the edge. A lot of science is learned on the edge. If you push nature into a corner, as has been said, and you can force it to tell you some of its secrets. And soap films are thinner than wavelengths of light. They're showing us colors that are because waves interfere with each other. The air pressure, the differences are so fine in this super delicate thing that is so common in our lives. It's so beautiful. They're worth exploring just for the beauty. I mean, forget the science, forget the tricks, forget making a living blowing bubbles. That's absurd. But just, it's great. Look at them. Just look at a soap. Yes, one more question. Yes. Pictures with bubbles? How do you mean? Oh, animals. Yeah, I can do, the kids have, usually they're not very good because balloon people can, twist out and you get an arm here and you get a thick, long neck or something like that, giraffes. And the bubbles have their own way that they join. They always join 3 walls along an edge, always the 3 equal 120-degree angles. They always join 4 edges at a point, always at 109 degrees, 28 minutes, 16 seconds. That's California time. That's a joke. But they have their own exact thing. That you look into suds, it looks like chaos. Look closely at suds. If you do that for a long time, you'll go crazy. No, I know, I've done it for years. There's madness in there, you know. But look again, there's an order. It looks like chaos. It's always 3 walls along an edge, always 3 equal 120-degree angles. In all the suns that there have ever been. 65 million years ago, when those dinosaurs were frothing at the mouth, watching the comets come down, the bubbles in that froth were drawing 3 walls along an edge, 3 equal 120-degree angles. It's the minimum. Bubbles must choose a minimum. They're fluid. They're fluid. It's fluid with geometry, very exacting geometry. If you think of any other example, fluids take the shape of their container. They're amorphous, they have no shape. But soap bubbles are fluids. Before I did the love bubble, 2 bubbles became 1. It's astounding, because we're thinking of solids that we know. If I took 2 apples and slammed them together, they became 1 apple. That would be amazing. But you've seen 2 water drops on a window pane come together and make 1 water drop. It's not a surprising thing for a liquid to do that. We forget sometimes that we're looking at liquids because the geometry is so perfect. We just can't imagine we're looking at a liquid. But it's obeying these laws of fluid dynamics rather than the other laws that we're more familiar with having to do with solid objects. Where did I start this as nothing? Oh, an animal. Yes, okay. So they don't really come. The caterpillar, sort of. And then the kids in Australia, they asked me to do a koala. And it came out pretty good. I'll try the koala, okay? That's the belly. Head. Leg. Leg. You can call them arms or more legs, I don't know which one. But then they have those big ears on top of their head. Wait, no, that's a bad ear. Oh no. There we go. Koala. Yeah, that one's going to be a mama. Watch. Yeah, never mind.